Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again. It's Monday, and I hope you had a great weekend. It was a really good weekend here. A little bit chilly, but still a nice weekend. And you know what that means. We only have 1 week left. You're on your last week for the Birdhouse Challenge. Now, you can knock out a birdhouse in a couple hours, you know. I mean, that's, it all depends on how much time you want to put into it, but you have to get down there. You got to try it. I'm telling you, everybody that's telling me they're having such a good time making one, it's probably been a while since you've made one of these or been in the shop for a while, so get down there. You'll enjoy it. Today we're going to I want to start on the scales of Elias's knife, and we'll get doing that, and I want to see what else we feel like doing. It's going to be a nice weekend, so let's get started. Okay, for those of you just tuning in for the first time and not knowing the story behind this knife, a good friend of mine from Canada by the name of Elias. He's a Canadian knife maker, and he is, you can see there, that's a Diving Sparrow. He does Diving Sparrow Knife Works. He's the founder, and he gave me this knife blank because he knows I like to put some, I was doing a video where I did handles on some knives, and this is one of the knives he makes. He has a whole catalog, and he also makes them for different companies, designs them for different companies. This one here is all hand ground by him, and look at that grind line. Do you know how difficult, anybody that does any kind of grinding knows how difficult it is to get that perfect. I mean, look over here how that lines up. Everything is just perfect. I love how he does that little dip in the top, but he still has it where it's not sharp on top. I mean, look at that. It's just a pretty knife, right? Now, when I was looking at his website and how he does his knives, I said, I want to do this as, like the way he does it. So I'm going to make a handle very similar to the way he does it on the back here. And I was looking for a good wood to pick. Now, after much deliberation, I said, I'm going to do it in Paducah. Paducah is an African wood. It grows in Central Africa. These trees grow up, they grow like 100 feet tall, and they have like 80 feet without any branches. So it's an amazing wood. It has a red tone to it. Can you see it? It's I love this wood. I've used it many times, and I bought this piece of wood probably 10 or 15 years ago. Again, it's in my wood stockpile, and I've been waiting for something special, and this is going to be it. So I'm going to do the scales and Paducah. So let's get started with this. Okay, first off, when cutting some scales or handles on the table saw, it's always a good idea to cut a bunch of different ones, because you never know what you're going to want, or if you're going to make a mistake and you might have to have it. So I cut a bunch of different thicknesses at different sizes, and I can always put these away. This way you don't have to pull out the table saw and cut them out. But here's the scales that we're going to use for this one here. You can see how thick I made them. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take the knife here, and we're going to trace this on here, including the pins, and then we just have to get this this little feature up here, this rounded off feature. So what you do is I'm going to go to Abe's website, Diving Sparrow's Knives, and look how he does it and how far back he has it, because I want to duplicate the way he makes it, and then I'll trace that. Okay, here's where we're at. A couple hours into it, we have the scales that you see, they're a little bit proud, and that's the way you want them. Now what we're going to do is we're going to epoxy everything on. These pins are super, I had to take these pins down to the exact hole, so there's absolutely no play. This handle is solid already, and there's no glue or anything on it. So, but here's what you have to do. You have to do this part first, because you don't want to mess up the blade. So you do that part first, and then the rest of it, we'll contour it once it's glued up to our hands, and already it feels beautiful and it feels nicely balanced. So I'm really looking forward, and this is always a good idea. Always make a temporary sheath for when you're working on the knife, because you don't want this when you're sanding or anything. You don't want to get cut. So we'll pop these pins out. We'll do some slow set epoxy on here, clamp everything up, and then we'll be going to the sander. Okay, now's the fun part. We just sit back here and wait for the glue to dry. Okay, everything's going good so far. I thought I'd take a minute to talk to you about custom knives. You know, custom knives is something that it's a whole different category than your regular manufactured knives from companies. And you know, it's reflected in the price because of labor and man hours, and they are custom. A lot of times they're custom made to you, or they come in a custom design. And let me show you a couple examples. Let me start off to tell you where my history comes with knives and how this whole thing started with today's episode. Years ago, I used to, you know, of course, we all collect different types of knives and things like that. And I have, you know, fixed blade, folders, all different types. What had happened was, in order to get some of the scouts involved, I was looking for a way that they can get involved without having to go through the process of forging a blade or to stock remove, because that just takes too long. And what I came up with was a handle replacement, customizing a knife using handle replace. So I used to buy these knives. You can see here, this is an old Utica Sportsman. You see that? And I used to buy knives like this on eBay, cheap, you know, like $8, $10, and even cheaper if you would buy them all rusted up with cracked handles. And that's what I used to get, rusted ones with cracked handles. And then I would, what I would do is refinish the blade. And like this one here was a wreck, had cracked handles, was totally unrecognizable. And what I did here was I finished up the blade here, you could see, and made these handles for it. And the scouts loved it. They were, you know, they thought it was the best thing ever. So same thing here. This knife was wrecked, and you could see it was used because of the profile, but you know, clean it up nicely. And this is something that could be a lot of fun. Then I started customizing a lot because I have a feel that I prefer with any kind of knife or anything. So here's a K-bar I bought years ago, and I was showing this on a video I did like last year, and this is when Abe saw it. Now, made these out of corian. These handles are made from corian, that countertop material. And what happened was I bought this K-bar, which I liked. It's called a Warthog, but the problem was, look where the handle ended. It ended here. It was very short, and it was just too short in the hand, and I didn't like it. So I added this part back here, and now the knife became it's just beautiful in the hand now. I mean, it's just, I enjoyed it. So that's where I got into it. And when Abe saw that, he sent me the knife blank, and he said, I see you like it doing, and that's how we got introduced to each other. I didn't know he was a custom knife builder and had his own business and whatnot. So I used to go to knife shows years ago, and in the city there was a couple of knife shows, and this here was some of the first custom knives I ever bought. Anza, they're still in business today. They make their knives out of 1095, usually old files. You can see, or not old, they buy them new, but these are files. You can see here, and they, you know, custom make knives. Now, Anza started about 1980, and I was going to the shows not long after that, so I got these guys when they were just starting out. And look at this one here. This was one of my favorites. And again, back then, this knife was over $100 back then, which is a lot of money for a knife. But this is a custom knife, and when you're buying from a knife dealer or something, you know, you got to understand something. Today, knives Randall knives, for example. Randall knives, they started off, they were custom knives that people would use. They get in the military. He'd make them for the military. Those knives, they're still in business, but they're $500 or $600 a knife. So when you buy into a custom knife thing, you're not buying into you're not buying it for the price. You're buying it for who makes it and what it's about. It's like buying art. This is a beautiful answer. And this one here I bought because I always, do you remember the old terms when you're looking for a coral snake? The saying went, a red touch black, safe for Jack. Red touch yellow, kill a fellow. And you could see here that the red is touching the yellow here. So this was like what the coral snake would look like. And I just fell in love with this knife. And this is it's corian, exotic wood. But just look at that file grooves in here. Now this is not, you know, in a field, or if you're using this for skinning or anything, you wouldn't want all these grooves to capture all, you know, dirt and rust or whatever. But I just fell in love with that. I love the look of this knife, the grind, super sharp. And so that's why, you know, custom knives, when you finally get into collecting them, you know, it's more about you kind of collecting it's more of an art than, you know, but a lot of people use these in the field every day, and then that's what's so much fun about that. Another thing I want to point out is, you see this here? This is it's a sheath that I made out of just 2 pieces of wood, but I made this because this is what they used to call a scabbard, and a scabbard went inside of a frog. You know, unlike a sheath, a leather sheath is okay, but the problem with some leathers is they can retain moisture in the leather. So it's great because it's soft, it's you know, it's traditional, but you don't want to store your knives inside the leather sheath because they can, especially if they're high carbon steel, they can get rusted. This way here, this is a wooden sheath, and like I said, they used to call scabbards. You can see it works very nicely. You know, it holds it in there. It don't go anywhere. And I think I'm going to make this for Abe's knife. And if you ever want to carry this on your belt, you see these 2 notches here. You take it, it has a special leather carrier that snaps around here and goes on your belt. And this way, and different. But they used to use these in bayonets a lot. That's where you see them. Okay, here's a quick recap of what Abe's knife looked like without the scales on it. And we're calling this project done. Boy, I really had a good time with this. And look how beautiful this Paducah is on here. Didn't that come out gorgeous? And again, now I can't do a handle like Abe can. You know, it takes you about at least 20 handles before you start getting decent at it, and I don't have that much time. But I have to tell you, I tried to, he has that swell in the middle like I did here, but I kept putting it in my hand. This for my hand is just so comfortable, you know, and it's got a little bit on the flat side so that it registers good. It's just a great balance, great feeling knife now. Did the lanyard hole up here nice, and just a beautiful, and look at the bottom here. Look at that, how nice that looks, huh? I'm telling you, I love this knife. But Paducah is such a beautiful wood, because now this wood here is not shellacked or varnished in any way. What I did here is, all I did was sand it down till it was comfortable. Then I polished it with the Triple E, and then I put 2 coats of wax on here, butcher's wax, and that's it. And that is just, and I've been playing with it for a while, and waxed the blade up nice, and look at that. This is, and look at the grind on here. This is just a beautiful knife. One of my, if not my favorite. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And I'll get a lot of fun out of this. Abe, thanks so much. I also did one thing. I took the edge off here because I do not use ferro rods. I have a problem with them. I think that's a kind of eBay, YouTube thing. So I took that edge off, but it's, you know, because I use a lot for drawer knife and things like that. And the top of my knives have to be smooth. And it's just beautiful. And yeah, really happy with this. Now to make our scabbard or a sheath is quite easy. I put an old scrap of pine here, and this one here is about 4.5 feet. And the reason you want it a bit long is because you don't want to have your hands anywhere near that spinning blade when you're trying to do any kind of cuts like this. Now I wanted to make 3 cuts like this that are fairly close. So what I did was you bring the fence in to where you want your cut to be. So let's say it was somewhere close to there, lock it down, and then what you do is you take your wood. Now obviously it's not going to be cut because you would look like this, and you would feed it in here like this, making your first cut about halfway down. Then you flip it over, make another cut about halfway down, and that leaves you with this here. Okay, you have 3 nice pieces of thin stock, and this is, you know, hard to find. But now we're going to cut it across here, and then I'll show you how easy it is to make a sheath like that. Next up, take a piece of wood that you're happy with and lay your blade over here against it like this. And you can see I want about 1/4 of an inch on the both. You see that black pencil line here by my thumb? I want 1/4 of an inch from the top of the blade and the bottom of the blade bigger. And now to cut a piece of wood like this, you know, again, you don't want to have your hands close to the table saw. First of all, you want the blade only coming about 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch above the. There's no sense in having your blade up higher than it needs to be. So keep it down low. You just want it to cut it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to run it across the fence. Now, see, I don't want to get close to the blade. So what I do is I'll run it halfway, and then I'll shut the table saw off, and then I will flip it around, and I will do the other half. Next up, I cut a little groove in the bottom of the scabbard. So this way the knife, when it sits in the sheath, you can see here, that'll rest nicely either way. I want to make this an ambidextrous rug that it can go in either way. So now we're just going to glue up that extra piece of scrap, which is, if you look at the thickness here, it's just a hair thicker than the blade. And we're going to glue that up on the sides here, one on each side, and then we're going to come down to a V, and we're going to cut the other side the same way. Okay, so now we just framed out the inside. Now look how nice this knife fits in here when you put it in. You see it rests on that top blunt edge there. You see that? And then if I flip it around, because it's ambidextrous, it does the same thing on that side. See that? So that's exactly what we're looking for. And then what we'll do is I'll shellac the inside of this and this to make sure it's water resistant in case any water goes in. That's weep hole over there, those two slots. And then we'll put the top on here. We'll glue it down. We'll put some weights on here. And then we will sand the outside to make it look all nice. So it's coming along really well. Okay, the scabbard's finished. Like I said, it's ambidextrous, so if I put it in this way, you know, it'll still lock in, doesn't come off. When you want to open, take it out of the sheath, you put your little thumb against this little ledge here, and you pop it open. You know, you can take your knife out. So I always like a scabbard. You know, it's got the weep holes in the bottom, and then again, you can put this leather around here, which will attach to your belt. But before I do that, you can see here, I finished it up nicely. Right? I mean, it's so easy to make. Everybody can make one of these. A lot of fun. But my question is to you, what color do you think it should be? Okay, I could have stained it. I could have done anything. I didn't even shellac it yet. But what color you think it should be? I could have even made one out of the same material. I could have made it out of Paducah, but I didn't because it's kind of too much, you know. But what color you think this should be? Or you want me to leave it natural, or what do you want me to do? Let me know in the comments. We're running short on time, and we'll do it the way you want. Okay, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. A special thanks to you, Abe, for the beautiful knife. I love the way it turned out. And again, let me know what color you think that scabbard should be. And also, don't forget the birdhouse challenge. I'll be starting on that in a little while. Thanks so much. Take care now. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.